Guys, welcome back to the channel. S here from s&a'sorgnitecreations. Now, I want to get into, well, just talk to you about orgonite in general, what it is when you make it, what you're trying to do, the general sort of stuff a lot of people are making, promoting, and saying this is one of ours. So we're going to get into this. Alright, so this is your typical stuff, and what they say is all you need. I did not make this, okay? So you can see in here, this is aluminium or aluminum, depending on where you're from. You can see the finish is not that great, but if you overlook that, don't worry about that. But you can see what I mean. How there's all these ripples and that it's not smooth. It's quite, you know, as if it was really tacky or something. Maybe it wasn't cured properly when they got it out of the mold or something like that. They've rounded off the edges, just I assume like with a Dremel, just with a sanding disc on the Dremel or something like that, and just rounded off these edges, which is always good, but it's pretty rough. Alright, but we're not worried about that. This is the base. Alright, you can see there's lots of alloy in there, right? So this would be your typical 50-50 mix, what they say. So it's resin, it's aluminium, and there's one piece of quartz in there, one chunk. Alright, and I know how they made this because see how my nail catches where that quartz is. So what they've done, they've poured some resin, they've put a little bit of colour in it, that purple there that you see. So they've tipped that into the mould, then straight away before it's cured they've dropped that crystal in there, and that's why it's like so close. It's like just a coating of resin is on there. Okay, so you can see in places it's also cracked, going from the crystal there and shooting out here and here. It's cracked up this end as well. Alright, so it's cracked in a few places. That's fine, but like I say, this isn't mine, but this is what they typically say is what you need. The only thing you need for functioning orgonite: 50-50 mix of metals, resin, and a quartz crystal. That's all fine and dandy, but hear me out, okay? So 50-50 is what this would be, right? What I see so many people doing, so it's in the mold like this, they've, you know, poured their little purple layer, put their crystal in, probably let that cured a little bit before they put all their metal in. But what they do is they put all their metal in there first, and then they pour the resin on top. Now, if that's the case with whoever made this, which a lot of people do this, if that's the case, then all that metal in there is touching each other. So where's your layers? If they're all touching each other and then you pour the resin around it, or on top of it, and it seeps through. The reason it seeps through is because there's so many big particles, there's space in between, yes? So that's basically what they do. And essentially, it could only be a few pieces of metal or one if they're all touching before you put that resin in there. Do you understand? What you need to do, regardless of how you want to make it or what you think is best or what is needed, whatever, you need to put the metals inside the resin first. Mix well, coat every single piece of metal in resin before you pour it in. Understand? That way you might have at least a coating of resin suspending the metals so they're not physically touching. Alright, now, so there's that. If you're going to make it like this, that's how it needs to be done. You need to be pre-mixing the metals and resin in together. Mix, 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 mix. Then tip all that in the mold. That's how it needs to be done. Alright, probably going to get some, you know, haters on this, whatever. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm sure a lot of you have been doing it for a long time, but have a think about this. You got large, where'd this 50-50 come from? Don Carroll Croft, right? So that's cool. There's lots of people that say that they were, I don't know, this is not my opinion, but, you know, that they were a shill, or whatever they say, basically controlled opposition or whatever, like making people, leading people to do it this way because it's inferior, you know? Take that what you will. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying that I've come across that in looking at stuff. Alright, so if that's true, then this is not the way to go. There's more information about this as well that I'm going to get into. So Wilhelm Reich discovered that, because the reason why you want resin, technically organic. There's a carbon molecule, so it renders it organic, makes it organic, and you got the metals inorganic. So Wilhelm Reich, how it all come about this here, he discovered that the more layers of organic and inorganic materials, the more accumulation of orgone energy. Alright, that's how it is. So, if you've got this, how many pieces of aluminium do you think would be in here? If you had to guess. 1,000? 800? I don't know. Give or take, maybe 500 to 1,000. I don't know, maybe more. Just say it's 1,000. Alright? Now, something like this is what we do. If it's all about the layers, the more accumulation, the more throw, the more whatever. How many layers are in here? Can you tell? You can't, can you? Because the metals that are in here are super fine. We also use like finer particles of metal. There's real 24 karat gold in here as well. Brass shavings, steel shavings, powdered crystals. You can see we have a chakra blend. There is a tumbled piece of quartz in the center that I put in there afterwards. I drop it in after I pour it. I put it in there, which you can never see it because it just gets covered in all the stuff when I put it in there. But yes, lots and lots of crushed. See, I take this sort of stuff here, this clear quartz crystal point. I'll take something like that and I'll crush it up, and then I put it in here in powdered form, so it's sporadically spread out through the whole thing. Alright, so there's that. Allows more energy to flow. There's selenite, there's kyanite, there's shungite powders, there's lots and lots of stuff in here. But how many layers? Tenfold, way more than this. Tenfold plus 100-fold, 1,000-fold, I don't know. Like, there's an insane amount of layered materials in here. If it's all about the layers, then this is how this would be far superior. Now, let's go on to more info. Okay. So bear with me. Who made the first orgonite? It's Karl Welz, right? He made the first orgonite. How was he making them? He discovered fine powdered materials is the way to go. He uses epoxy, fine iron particles, and that was it. Yes, that is accumulation. These days, because Karl Welz has passed, he's no longer with us, but these days they add crystals in their quartz crystals. Like they make pyramids, they make the orgone generators, powered devices. We do powered stuff too now. Getting our hands more into that. But yeah, he made powdered material stuff, and then come along Don Croft, yeah, and then said this is the way to go. I mean, we chuck more in there, so we take Karl Welz, powdered materials, more layers, more accumulation. We've also got powdered crystals throughout the whole thing. Now they're doing their thing, transmuting the energies, changing it, keeping this thing always cleansed, always charged, always pushing, pulling, and cleansing the energies, always. Alright, something like this is way more powerful than this. Because of the layering, there's way more layers in something what we do. People might say, oh, this here has more range or whatever. Does it? Where's your instrument to measure that? Besides from the dowsing, besides from using a pendulum and all that dowsing stuff, and Bova scale, how strong it is, besides all that anyone can just do and just guess and just go, yeah, about that. Because, I could do it, and then the next person could do it, and so could the next 50 or 100 people, and all get different results, okay? So it's not scientific. What I mean is, where's the tool to measure that? It doesn't exist right now. So you cannot say that this is inferior or that is inferior. You don't know. But if we look at the facts, the accumulation, the layers, the strength of that is this is stronger, far superior, right? Now, I haven't got it with me, but I'm sure you've seen other videos. Actually, I'll pause this video and I'll go get it. Okay, now I went ahead and got a couple of other pieces here, you can see. So this one, and this one. So we're going to do this. So this is the piece that I wanted to show you. Alright, so this is from Rohla. Alright, plenty of crystals, nice and chunky. Yeah, there's a large chunk of clear quartz. That's massive. You can sort of see in there. It looks quite trippy, yeah. So he uses a lot of powdered materials. Alright, so you can see that, right? Different colour because he uses different stuff. You got ours as well, right? Like I said, there's a larger tumbled clear quartz dropped in there. You can't see it because this isn't a clear layer on here. This is just the straight up orgonite mix poured, okay? But you get to see all the tiny crushed powdered crystals on the top. Right, lots of piezoelectric crystals like your amethyst, your garnets, your carnelian, clear quartz, like I was saying. I'll crush up these here crystal points. It's all in there. So you got people like Ken Rohla. You've also got people like from Dancing with Water, MJ Pangman, I think her name is Pegman, something like that. They make their own charge plates and water vessels for structural water. They use powdered stuff. Theirs is primarily black too, because they know lots of paramagnetic materials. They use paramagnetic sands and stuff like that. We do too, and that amplifies and resonates with the Earth's natural energies. It picks it up and amplifies it and throws it out harder, if you will, gives it more range and throws it out in a localized scalar field. Alright, that there has profound effects on water. Something like this, aluminium, large chunks, you're not getting much accumulation. You're not picking up the Earth's energies. There's no ormus in there. Ken Rohla uses ormus, containing stuff in there like volcanic rock powders and stuff like that, special sands and stuff like that with high mineral content, as well as other powdered metals and stuff like that. We do the same. So some of the other things that we do. This is a pendant. This is my personal pendant. We've got coils. Alright, lots and lots of wrapped wire, isolated wire. Alright, it is a magnet wire. This is a particular Rodin coil. You can see how it sparkles. It spirals through the center and comes out, and it twists like a Mobius coil as well. So it does the infinity symbol, and it twists on itself like a Mobius coil. And it's a Rodin coil. You can look up how to make them, okay? They're this small is very, very hard to make. Alright. Lots and lots of powdered materials in there. We like to do MWA antennas. They have their place as well. Been proven to help heal damaged cells. Now, moving up, you've got this here. This is a charge plate. This is also part of a powered device. There's a plug-in, okay? So this Rodin coil was powered. This is something that we're going to be doing. They're going to be a listing soon, Etsy listing. But you can see the amount of stuff in there. Just imagine how many layers is in here. Alright, just imagine. There's so many layers in here. It's very, very, there's just so much when you got this, okay? So, but this is what this is about. This is your typical mix. You'll read on Facebook groups and all the rest of it, they'll say, thousands and thousands of members. I'm a part, I have a look, and I can't help. They fight for this type of stuff. They fight for it. They say, this is all that's needed, this is all that's required, this is how it works, la 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 la. But if you go back to the basics, the more layers, the more accumulation, the more effect. So, and then it rebroadcasts it and throws it out in a scalar, localized scalar field. This is also, I'll give you some more information about Ken Rohla. So, I might go ahead and show it or attach it in the video. You might see it on screen, and on his vlog you can go ahead and see this for yourself. So freshandalive.blog or vlog or something like that. Maybe I'll leave, if I remember, I'll leave the link in the description. You can go ahead and look at this yourself. Go there, type out search for orgonite. If you can't find the search bar, scroll right down to the bottom of the screen. I believe it's down the bottom. Alright, but look up orgonite, alright, and you'll see conversations had. Now there's this guy, Steve, who asked a good question about aluminium, using aluminium powers, because he realised that the more layers, the more accumulation, the more when you got powdered stuff, the Casimir effect is in play more. Okay, so in physics, science, when particles are suspended, metal particles are suspended and extremely close together, they actually generate and create their own energy, 0 point energy. That's the same as scalar waves. Alright, life force, chi, all that's exactly the same. So by doing this powdered form, Karl Welz was the very first person who made orgonite, powdered materials, okay, powdered metals. So he was tapping in to the Casimir effect. This is very weak at best, okay? So now, with these messages, this person asked about aluminium and aluminium powders. So is that wrong? Is it not working? Is it negating it? Is it not doing its thing? And Ken responded, like I was saying, look at this yourself. Go click it, search Orgonite on the blog, Fresh and Alive blog, and you'll see in Ken's words. So the person asked about, what's it doing? Is it not working? Whatever. Ken responded. You can read it. Basically something like, no, it's not working. The Casimir effect is still at play. It's still working, but very, very weak or not very good. All right. When you make something like this, something like this, something like this, it's happening a lot. It's best to use other metals, because he has talked to, is a Russian. He says it in there. There's a Russian scientist. I'm not sure of the name, but just say it's like Nikolai Kozyrev or something like that. Or there's a Russian scientist that plays around with scalar energies. He said that aluminium blocks scalar waves. All right. He has also found and talked to Marko Rodin and Randy Powell, who makes the Rodin coils and the vortex-based mathematics and stuff like that. They said the same thing. So he's pulling from his information and different sources, saying that aluminium partially blocks, or it does block. Scalar waves pass through everything. He's not saying it doesn't work. You're getting something. But it is best to use powdered materials. It is. And it is best to avoid aluminium, all right, because it's one metal that is known to partially block scalar waves. You're hindering the effects. All right, you can make it so much more powerful if you have finer metal particles and avoiding aluminium. Okay, so I'm going to put these up in the video somewhere. I might pause it so you can read. And yeah, that's my rant on that. Okay, so I got this from someone, and this particular person got it through Facebook. If you're watching this, hi mate. He'll tell you, I don't know how much this has, but he'll just straight up say like, oh, this particular piece has 5 meters, this particular piece has 10 meters or 15 meter range or whatever. It's like, you can't say that because you do not know. And if people think that this here, say he said this had 5 meters or 10 meter radius, right, just say, then people think, oh, I'll put that by my Wi-Fi, it goes 10 meters, say, I'm protected in this area, so I should be good, but in fact, you might not be, because it's just his word. It's just his measurement with his Bovis scale or whatever, and saying, dowsing, how much distance is it? Oh, see, it's 10 meters. But then I could have a shot and do it the same thing, or someone else that knows how to do it, and they don't know nothing about what they just tested, and then they'll get a different reading. Oh, it was 2 meters, or if it's 1 meter, of 30 centimeters, or 1 kilometer. Some people claim that their stuff does like 2,000 kilometers and shit like that. Yeah, we can get into that, but that's silly, all right? Unless you really know, like Ken Rohla on his website, he has some really, really high-tech, powerful home shield devices, he calls them, the home shields. So they are powered. They're attached to a couple of batteries, like big batteries, and like car batteries or whatever. And they also have solar panels, so they run all the time, non-stop. So the solar panels during the day would be charging the batteries, putting the power into it, so it's running all the time. He says you can't have these devices too close to your house. You got to have it like at least 10 or 20 meters or whatever it says on the website away from your house, in your yard somewhere. Otherwise, you probably will have trouble sleeping because it's that strong. He claims that they do 75-mile radius and more. But he does serious stuff, so I would think that he's more accurate than a lot of them out there. His home shield, the rest shield, which is a pyramid device, he claims that is 20 foot radius, and that's a powered pyramid. Alright, that's for your house. That emits the Schumann resonance, and I know it does something because I can check it on the LM4 experimental life energy meter, and it does do something because it's ticking every so often. It's moving that needle, so it is pulsating out that Schumann resonance. Okay, it's pulsating it out, so it does take an effect. So, in my opinion, because we do not make this stuff like this, as you can see in front of you, this is our stuff, not this one. This is Ken's. This is inferior. It's not only me. Ken Rohla will say the same thing. He says you can make them better. Don't do this. He teaches other means, other methods. This is, quite frankly, junk. Very weak at best. And then you move up into this realm where this is good stuff. This is good bang for your buck. Ken Rohla. Good bang for your buck. Us. Alright. So with here, you're getting some good stuff. This is a more slim line. You can tell, slim line to fit in your pocket, purse, whatever. Carry around with you more to give you more protection than, say, a pendant, because you're not going to want this around your neck, are you? Pendants, the Rodin coils have their place. A passive device. This is not a powered device, but they have their place, and they're extremely powerful for a pendant. I don't know any other pendant that would be as good as this. I just don't. All right, not to toot my own horn, but we're not here to stuff you around. We know what we're doing, and this is my piece. All right, my personal piece. I do not take it off. I wear it in bed, shower with it. The works. It's fine. They don't get damaged or anything like that. Moving up to this stuff, the powered stuff. Okay, Rodin coil. This has a field effect. It's a magnetic field. I can test and measure, so I know the range. You can input all sorts of different frequencies for different healing benefits. Loaded with paramagnetics, just as this here, like a passive device, you can use it like that. You don't have to have it powered. Alright, bit of shit on there, bit of something, bug, whatever. But yes, this accumulation is intense compared to that stuff. Many hundreds of thousands more layers than that. I don't even know how that's made. I know how we make this, and just far superior stuff. That's it. I don't know how else to say it. There'll be people out there probably watching this, and they're going to fight for this stuff. They're going to fight. All right, Don Croft, Cara Croft, they did this. All right, the 50-50 ratio come about, using large aluminium. If you're going to do this with large pieces, don't do alloy for a start. You can do brass, you can do copper, you can do iron, you can do whatever, stainless steel or steel. Just don't use alloy. Alright, you can use it, but it has the least effect. It's gonna make it weak, because these make scalar waves in a localized scalar field. They produce the lifeforce, chi, energy, that's responsible for the transmutation of the negative energy bullshit from your Wi-Fi, 5G towers, whatever that's coming your way, right? The field of this will be less because it blocks the scalar waves. It's hindering it. It's choking it. It's not working properly. There's less accumulation due to the fact that there's less pieces in there. There's more bigger pieces. These have way more pieces. People say that because there's lots and lots of pieces of metal in here, that it's choking it as well, and there's no the energies have trouble moving around and all the rest of it. That is how do you know that? Like, that's good to say, especially if you're on that team. But there is larger pieces of metal in here. There is little tiny needle-like things about yay big throughout the whole thing. So there is larger pieces, not just dust nanoparticles or atomized metals. There is larger pieces. Alright. But it's not chunky, fat, round chunks. You know, this is just off a drill press, just little shavings. Whoops. You know, so it's just like whatever. Now, how do you know that that energy doesn't penetrate and have a hard time bouncing through? We already know that all all the metal, how we make this, all the metal is not touching each other. We vortex this stuff when we mix it. Alright? Alright guys, now these energies here from just say your Wi-Fi, whatever, radio signals, whatever, different waveforms, whatever, we know this here is not a solid piece of metal, for one, right? There is space all between it, because it has to have space between it, because otherwise it would fall apart, because the resin has to be attached to itself through all the metals, you know what I mean? So if you got metal, resin, there's resin all in between holding the whole thing together, otherwise it would fall apart, if you understand, right? So we know there's space in between everything. So these frequencies, these energy waves, negative energies, whatever, from your Wi-Fi and so on, like what I was just saying, they pass through the walls of your house. They pass through things. If you've got a Faraday cage or a solid metal box, and that will block them, but this here does not block them. Okay, that's why you can get radio signals in your car. That's why you can get radio signals in whatever, you know, or your frequencies, your phone goes through your house, la 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 la. So the energies are going in here fine and bouncing around, and they're fine. The crystals that are sporadically in powdered form and dust particles that are sporadically in here, they give gap to this too, and then they also have they're producing their own individual scalar wave, little tiny fields. They're producing all their own fields. So there's hundreds of thousands of crystal powders in here. All right, one crystal, thousands. Okay, that's all in there too. So this stuff bouncing around in here, and there's lots and lots and lots of crystals doing their own thing too. You're going to have more effect, more transmutation, as quartz is a transducer. It takes one form of energy, puts it into another. There's lots of them in here. Powdered materials, so there's more surface area, more better. Just, it is, okay, compared to something like this. I'd be, knowing what I know, and I'm trying to get it out so you guys understand. And I'm sure many of you do, and you're on track, but there'll be a lot of you that are fighting for this stuff. You'll fight this. I mean, the finish is terrible, but that's neither here nor there, because if I was making this and I had exactly the same materials, it would not look like this. I'd make it look a lot better, but don't even worry about that. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I like things to look good as well. If you can make them look good, why don't you? Alright, I would not be happy with this finish. I couldn't be. Okay. So this is just inferior. It just is. Alright, like I was saying, because you've got people like Ken Rohla in the know. He knows his stuff. He talks to people. He does big conference shows and presentations, and he meets a lot of people, a lot of secret tech, and just lots of stuff. He's not just your average person that reads on the internet, this is how it should be made, 50-50 from Don Carroll Croft, and you just need one quartz and that's it. That'll work very, very weakly, okay? If you want to make it better, don't do this. Learn from people who know. You can follow us too if you want. Look at what we do. You can buy the stuff. Alright? It's up to you. Don't care what you do. Don't have to buy from us. Do whatever you want. But, yeah, and people like Dancing with Water. Look at their stuff, what they make. They make orgonite too. It looks more similar to this than this, but they use powdered metals, copper, paramagnetic sands, They use also Triskelions. They love Triskelions cut at the royal or sacred cubit measurement. We do that too sometimes with some of our things. And there's a few other people in the know that know what they're doing. Where you look at the originator, where it come from, he found straight up that if you're going to do it, because he knew the layers, the more accumulation, the more effect. More layers, way less layers, okay? Wrong metal, from what Ken Rohla has said. And he's talked to, Marko Rodin, Randy Powell, who make the Rodin coils. They do it more in a donut shape. This is the same thing as a donut. Instead of it being a donut, it's a flat disc, yeah? Alright, so you can do the same thing, but get away with it making it smaller. Same thing with my pendant, I put it back on. Alright, same thing with the pendant, which is, instead of it being a donut, if you're looking at it on the side, it's more just a disc. That's it, it's exactly the same wrap. Alright, So you talk to them, they say the same thing about alloy. And that Russian scientist, that if you read what I'm saying, that's what he says, as he mentions, okay? And he just says basically stay away from it. And that's it. That's the gist. That's this video. Stay tuned for more videos. These powered devices, there's going to be 2 available very, very soon on our Etsy shop. Go ahead and click them. They'll come with everything you need. The frequency generator, the cords to connect it, the plug-in for the wall, so you can power it by the wall and turn it on. Or you can attach it to, say, a power bank. If you've got a power bank for a phone, just buy a USB, plug the USB into that. You've got a portable device you can take anywhere. You can take it in the car, you can put it in your backpack or your fanny pack and go for a run or whatever, and have this thing in there, and it's pulsating out a certain frequency. So I would recommend 432, the nature's harmonic frequency, basically. Also corresponds with the Schumann resonance as well. This is very, very natural. It has roughly around a 3-foot radius, so you'll be well within it. You can sit it on your desk and receive all those benefits. Check it out, look at it. Very beneficial. Treat your water, structure your water, do lots of stuff. You don't even have to have it powered. You can just have it there like this, use it as a coaster, whatever you want. Alright guys, that is it. Stay tuned for more videos. As always, thanks for watching.